I'm not sure whether he wins or loses that I'd like to be interviewing him afterwards. It might be a little bit too emotional.
Sampras, remember, hasn't won his serve since the first set, of course, in which he didn't lose it. It going to a tiebreaker.
Well, it's common knowledge that when you are losing, you're always much more tired than if you're winning. And Sampras is losing. Superb backhand down the line.
That was the shot of the Australian Open, and it's the one I said, if Kafelnikov plays well, it could really trouble Sampras. And particularly when you're tired, it gets to its mark that much more quickly than a shot hit cross-court.
Got the tape. Tough situation for Kafelnikov at this stage. As we see this last shot from Sampras, the big forehand. He knows his opponent's tied. Now does he play more carefully, or does he continue to go for his strokes? Ace number 6. I would normally have expected him to have a 1 before that 6 by this stage.
Yes, and having lost all 3 serves in the last set, it's pretty apparent he didn't serve an ace in that set. So his last ace was in the first set. In fact, the first point of the tiebreaker, I believe.
Without being demeaning to Sampras, I think the last anything was in the first set.
Yeah.
Second foot fault.
Well, that's Anatoly Lepeshin there, the coach of Kafelnikov. And look at Sampras there, no real attempt to get to that, just a couple of strides, and that was it. And the point about Kafelnikov really is that there's no weakness in his ground strokes. The only weakness really comes from within. Delana Mulcahy. Sampras says that sometimes you can't understand what it is to play tennis as much as he does, and that it feels too sore sometimes even to walk to the bathroom. Well, you get the feeling today that he wouldn't get as far as the bathroom.
Just wide.
Well, Kafelnikov really going for it, and as Bob says, it is a bit of a dilemma for him. Does he continue to go for his shots, or does he play more carefully, seeing that Sampras is not moving? I don't think it matters how he plays.
If you're a Pete Sampras supporter, it's worrying times. On the 12th of April, 1993, Pete Sampras obtained the #1 ranking for the first time. And exactly 2 years later, on the 12th of April, 1995, Yevgeni Kafelnikov got his highest ranking at #4. I think it dropped in. Sampras is having a look.
Yes, it was a brilliant shot, really. The backhand down the line that I was referring to. He just didn't hit it quite hard enough to send it out, even though he had to play it from not far above the ground, and it dropped into the hole.
number 7. Now, if he can get his first serve going, at the moment it's 58%. If he can get it up to above 60 and start serving some aces, well, perhaps he can stay in here just by virtue of holding his serve. And that's not going to help. Number 7.
7 already in this match against Courier in the whole of 5 sets. He served 2 double faults. With the change of end, Sampras was drinking water, putting cold water virtually all over him. He'd like to have had a cake of ice, I should think.
That's just too good, that return. I'm not sure Sampras could have made this. He was really alert and agile at his very, very best. 2 break points. Saved 1 with a good serve, and you have to believe, you don't want to, but you have to believe that if Kafelnikov gets the break here, the match is over.
Well, that's really summoning up a lot of courage. Not that fast a serve, but well placed, making Kafelnikov just stretch and snatch at the ball a little bit.
Avantage Kafelnikov.
Double fault number 7, and Kafelnikov wanted the spare ball and then hit it up the other end softly, very, very softly, and it bounced and hit Sampras in the stomach. No damage done. Oh, damage done there though.
Well, this is the killer in Kafelnikov. This perhaps is, it's unfortunate for Sampras, but this is what many of us who believe this man's got almighty talent, this is what we've been looking for a long time. It's just a shame that it has to be done against somebody who's really only about 5/8 there.
Well, if he's only 5/8 there, he's going to be a magnificent player if he does get there. He'll be fulfilling everybody's predictions, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's Sampras, I mean, who's only 5/8 there. That's what I was saying. It's a shame that he has to be doing it against somebody who isn't quite with it today. But at the same time, it's good to see this killer instinct of Kafelnikov, having a little passion.
You can have the compassion in the dressing room afterwards.
Yeah. Six service games and he's lost 4 points. Kafelnikov. He just cannot make an impression, Sampras.
And with his 13th ace, Kafelnikov takes a 4-1 lead in the third set. Don't forget, viewers in England, join us tomorrow for the ladies' final between Steffi Graf and Arantxa Sanchez Vicaria. That's 1400 Central European time, 1300 people in England. That should be a beauty. This is not a beauty. Very, very sad to see. He's certainly out there trying, just can't put it together. But his opponent certainly can.
Well, one of the comments Sampras had to make when he played Kafelnikov at the Australian a few years ago, a match that he won narrowly, 9-7 I think it was in the fifth, was that this chap is one of the great returners. He's like Agassi, he's like Korda. He can really take the ball early and whip it. And Kafelnikov's one of those players where, if you're not a tennis player, if he were a cricketer, for instance, you could just expect him. Up until now, he would have made a lot of 80s, a lot of 90s, and perhaps never quite made his century. He looks like making it today.
Good backhand volley from Sampras. It's what we've come to expect from him over the years.
He's really having to dig deep, is Sampras, to find the power, really to find Kafelnikov on the stretch, to find Kafelnikov a little lost for a shot. And a sign of the majesty that is Sampras on the serve. Again, the incisive backhand volley, really hitting sharply down through it. Look at the bottom edge of the racket, how it sighs under the ball. It keeps it low and gives him the crisp edge.
(4-2) to Kafelnikov, third set, serving with the new balls. Somehow or other, Kafelnikov's got to block out the cheers. As we see Guillermo Vilas once again, he'll probably understand what's going on in Kafelnikov's mind, being a front runner so often himself. Kafelnikov's got to block out the support that Sampras is getting from the crowd, not lose his own motivation.
Well, what a turnaround. First 2 points that Kafelnikov's lost in his serve in a long, long while. Not since the first set has he lost 2 points in a game. Sampras, remember, hasn't won his serve since the first set, of course, in which he didn't lose it. It going to a tiebreaker.
Well, it's common knowledge that when you are losing, you're always much more tired than if you're winning. Sampras is losing. Superb backhand down the line.
That was the shot of the Australian Open, and it's the one I said, if Kafelnikov plays well, it could really trouble Sampras. And particularly when you're tired, it gets to its mark that much more quickly than a shot hit cross court.
Him to have a 1 before that 6 by this stage.
Yes, and having lost all 3 serves in the last set, it's pretty apparent he didn't serve an ace in that set. So his last ace was in the first set. In fact, the first point of the tiebreaker, I believe.
Without being demeaning to Sampras, I think the last anything was in the first set.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether he wins or loses that I'd like to be interviewing him afterwards. It might be a little bit too emotional. Got the tape. Tough situation for Kafelnikov at this stage. As we see this last shot from Sampras, the big forehand. He knows his opponent's tied. Now does he play more carefully, or does he continue to go for his strokes? Ace number 6. I would normally have expected